me down again.
238 Ks, I think.
What are you talking to Chris about?
No, I'm talking about Grafton.
Yeah, so it's a long one.
Grafton.
Yeah, it's a long one. Guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the vlog that, yeah, I've done this one a few times, haven't I, the Grafton. But finally, we have a successful Grafton to talk about. And that's not the reason I want to take some time to talk about this video today because, yeah, we have failed a lot at this bike race.
Not exactly this one.
Yeah. But
I'll just leave it.
But we are really lucky this year. We not only have some super talented cyclists, some really super talented athletes, but we have some guys who are willing to tell their story of the race. We've got some great insight from the guys. I'm going to talk about just the whole experience in general.
Grafton to Inverell, 2021. Doing. It was difficult.
The Grafton. My first one, so I was on debut.
So which weary souls do we have representing us? Well, we've had a few guys who have done a few of these, myself included. So we've got myself, Jesse Coyle, Sam Hill and Ivan Bennett, and 3 Grafton debutantes, Cooper Sayers, Dylan McKenna, and Leo Yip.
Many expectations, didn't know what to think of it. You know, I heard stories here and there from the people that did do it. Tried to learn from what I could hear, but every year it plays out different, and it certainly did this year. I was pretty nervous. I had a lot of conversations with people the week before about being nervous I was going to get dropped on the climb, on the Gibraltar climb, just because it was so long and I hadn't done too much like that before, but yeah.
So going into the Grafton, it's probably one of Australia's hardest NRS races, just due to how long it is and a few of the climbs. Just got to be prepared to suffer, and everyone's going to have hard times during the day.
On YouTube, it's like this law of diminishing returns. Like everyone's trying to outdo themselves with like, this is the hardest thing, the most epic thing, this is the most intense thing, blah, 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 blah. This is the hardest amateur bike race in Australia. Okay? We can move on.
Leading into Grafton, I had lots of Ks in the legs, now a fair bit of racing in the legs, and a fair bit of confidence as well. After a pretty decent ride at Melbourne to Warrnambool, feeling really good at Melbourne to Warrnambool, and then backing up the day after with Mount Alexander Classic, I sort of thought, oh, you beauty, you know, come Grafton and come Gibraltar, you know, I'm going to be flying for it.
It's also just one of the most misleading profiles you could ever have on a bike race. Because of this enormous 1,000 metre climb that happens at 70 Ks, the Gibraltar range, everything else looks pancake flat in comparison. And that's a big mistake because the first 70 Ks run in to Gibraltar, it is a legitimate 2-hour NRS race just to the base of that climb.
There was a few hard climbs pretty early in the race, just short ones, and then the first actual KOM was Cuttle Creek at 25 Ks in. Just after that, there's a few more hard rollers, pretty much leading all the way to Gibraltar, but a couple of Ks after Cuttle Creek, I kind of kept the gas on a bit and kind of formed the early breakaway, which is pretty fun.
Ivan managing to make that selection took a huge amount of pressure off the rest of the team because the rest of the run into the climb, the pressure was off. We did not have to make any pace up that climb, Sam Hill, even though he was spotted at some points on the climb on the front. Very quickly informed by Jesse Coyle that this was not what he should be doing, at which point Sam replied, oh yeah, no, I shouldn't be doing this. And he got off. Sam Hill doing Sam Hill things.
We got to the Gibraltar range, and as soon as I started climbing, I just knew I was uncomfortable. My power was sort of like massively below threshold. My heart rate was, you know, at threshold heart rate or above. Yeah, I was just uncomfortable. I couldn't really push any watts.
I definitely made a huge mistake in the race and was, you know, expecting that because the race was so long, positioning was less important and significant. However, it was the sole reason my legs didn't have it at the end. I spent too much energy trying to close gaps over the crests of the climbs as the little groups are starting to split.
I've said in the past, I think on the last Grafton vlog that I did, the boxes were all ticked, we were absolutely flying, and then the shit hit the fan, and all of a sudden you're chasing the race, and if you start chasing Grafton, you'll lose Grafton.
You can be really in control for a third and think you're all on top of it, and 10 minutes later you can just be out of it.
I don't often talk about other teams on this channel just because it's not our story, but I think Oliver's is a perfect example of that from this race. So they had a man in the break with Ivan, okay? Box, ticked, flying, guys sitting in, happy days. We crest the climb, Ivan's group is caught.
Once we got caught, people were just attacking left, right and centre. Everyone was keen to get away. It made the race really hard over some of the rollers after the main climb, Gibraltar. I was struggling a bit because I'd kind of been chopping off for a while and burned a few bickies early on in the race, so I was having a bit of a dark patch.
So we got back into the group and we had Sam Hill up the road, which was fantastic because on the day he was, our strongest rider. So
all this comes down to what resources you have left in the last hour and a half of this bike race. There's no secret to that. That's you have to have as many of your race winners in race winning positions at the end of the bike race. And if you've got to start using those resources earlier on, then you're shot.
Pretty much in damage control, just trying to get through the race and cover. Luckily enough, I made it to the first feed where I got on the red ambulance. Cheers, Jono, for sorting those out. Get through these next few Ks to Glen Innes where...
It's like someone just fires this imaginary gun and off you go again.
Probably the hardest part of the race was the last 30 Ks. I made it over in the front 15, 20 riders, first split every single time.
We had the next KOM just out of Glen Innes. I think it was at the... I can't remember, but yeah, I was in a bad way up that climb, going backwards pretty hard.
Jesse Coyle on the radio, just going, guys, we need someone to do a burner. We got to get back across. So I thought, yep, that's me. I'm pretty much spent anyway. This is my one chance to really contribute to the team and then to sign off.
And we've failed here in the past. A couple of years ago, Jay had been in the break. He was dead. It was just Jesse and myself. Couldn't follow all the moves. Move went away. Game over.
And a couple of the other boys chopped off and managed to reconnect with the front bunch, and then kind of came back to life a little bit. I think that really woke the legs up.
This year was different. We had the full team, but how strong are you at this point? This is where you find out. This is where you find out how much energy have you saved.
We got the call from Ben in the car saying the brake's going to come back. You're going to have to ride to win this.
It's so easy to sit here and it just sounds so lame, but I'll say, and then we just followed moves and covered moves. It's just so much harder to do that.
Pretty stressful because there was a few climbs coming into the last 30k and a few roads that were quite narrow and made the race a little bit stressful, but knowing that just right in good position, having some of the boys help me out, telling me, there's a corner up here, you need to be in good position, and just being in the right place at the right time, and really just trying to float around the bunch, not do too much effort.
Okay, this is what I want to say just from a team perspective, because and this is not me having a go at people, but you'll often see that individuals will do quite well in this bike race, not on teams, okay? Fantastic cyclists. But they have no responsibility at this point, okay? So they can pick and choose, I follow that, no, I won't follow this. On a team, yes, you have more numbers, but essentially you're using a lot more energy, selfless energy.
Follow moves where I could and help out Cooper, try and hold good position in the bunch, look after his legs as well.
And a guy like Cooper is a perfect example of that towards the back end of the race. He's following dangerous splits because the worst thing that can happen at this point is a split goes without us in it that gets across to Sam. Now he's got fresher guys that have come across. They're going to beat him. They're going to beat him. That is a fail.
I suppose as bike races, not much that goes through your head. It's just be at the front, be attentive, be aggressive, and race to win.
Going into it, I knew some guys on the team were definitely really gunning for a podium and definitely have the legs to win the race. So I took on the supportive role early.
20 Ks to go, Ben comes in our ear and he says, like, you know, the winner's going to come from this bunch, guys. There's 4 of us there, Sam up the road. He's like, no, the winner's coming from the bunch. And I'm like, you know, we're all kind of hurting a bit at this point. And I just sort of went back on the radio and said to Ben, mate, have you got some inspo for us? Like, you have just been an inspiration to so many people over the last 6 months with what you've done with your rehab. You know, we're all so proud of you. Didn't say any of this. We're all so proud of you. What kind of inspiration, impart some inspiration on us as a collective to get this result? Suppose you can get off if you want. I think he needs to work on his inspo.
Because it played out well. You know, gave Sam a couple feeds and he got a beautiful second place for us.
We were far enough away that, you know, I couldn't hear anything in the radio, so I didn't know what was happening. But once I crossed the finish line and saw that Sam had finished second, you know, that was pretty special. And you know, the other guys rolled really good results as well, so we ended up being second on team's class as well.
With about 80 kilometres to go, I thought I was the worst in the break. My legs, I went through a really dark patch, but got my second win with about 30 Ks to go when I knew we had a sniff at staying away.
Just when you needed to, mate. Second place in the end. That was a good ride.
Yeah, I'm stoked with that. I would definitely take second. I think I made a slight tactical error. I underestimated how strong Rudy was. He attacked and I was like, guys, let him go. We'll work together, the 4 of us, to catch him. But it kind of split again, and Ryan and me could not catch Rudy. He was the strongest today.
Anniversary of the Grafton to Inverell Cycle Classic. Here are our top 5 winners for 2021.
I had a good chance to think about sort of how the squad really had approached this race in the past on the way up. And I kind of felt like the failings in the past had been that we, or individuals, like each individual, hadn't really taken responsibility over the collective result. It's bigger than a team sport, it's a squad sport. And I love the fact in our team that we have Ben Carman driving the car. We have John O'Farley, who rode Warney the week before in the feed zone. Whilst that's a nice touchy-feely thing to say, it's getting every individual to fully commit to whatever the eventual result is. Leo Yip having to get that last bottle. I don't like using bottles as an example because it's an obvious one, but like sitting in that little bit of wind for that little bit of extra time.
I'm very happy to have completed that role successfully for the team and keeping them fed. I think that's important, and I'm very happy to do that for them.
Yeah, look, I really hope you enjoyed that today. I'd love to hear your comments on this style of thing. Obviously, with the comments, I love it when you say, well done, Nero, and all that kind of thing, but that's very nice, really appreciated. But, you know, as you know, I don't enjoy doing the bad vlogs, but you know what I mean? Like, I enjoy telling those stories as well. So don't feel like you need to pop down like, oh, well done. What I would really like to know is this style of thing, because to me, this is what the channel is about. It's really about opening up the teams, getting the individuals, the personalities out there, and I love that. So,
G'day sports fans. I'm now just on the hunt for the perfect filming location.
Yeah, let us know if you think there's some future in it, because there's only so many clickbaity videos about light bikes and things that surely we can handle on YouTube. Surely we can be a little bit better than that. All right?